All right, let's talk about field trip data. In this explainer, we're going to walk through everything you need to know to enter, find, and manage it correctly. You know, getting this stuff right from the very beginning is the secret to keeping all your data clean and super reliable.
So, are you ready to log a new field trip and get it right on the very first try? I thought so. Let's dive right in.
Okay, first things first. Everything kicks off right here on the home screen. Just make sure you're on the Trip tab, and then go ahead and click that big blue Add New Field Trip button. That's your launchpad. That one click takes you straight to the main data entry form. We're going to break this down piece by piece so you know exactly what to do.
Think of creating a new trip as a simple 4-step process. First, you'll enter the core details. Then, generate that unique code. After that, you'll assign your team. And finally, the all-important save and validate. So let's kick it off with those core details.
So here we are on the Enter a Field Trip screen. You're going to start right at the top. Just use the drop-down menus to pick your Shams unit and the sector. Then you'll see the little calendar controls. Use those to plug in your start and end dates for the trip.
Okay, stop for a second, because this is probably the most important warning in this whole process. Seriously, these three things, the start date, the unit, and the sector, are permanent. Once you set them, they are locked in for good. They're used to create the trip's permanent ID, so double-check them, triple-check them, get them right.
So, once you are 100% confident that those details are perfect, go ahead and press Generate Trip Code. The system will instantly create a unique identifier for your trip, and that code is basically the glue that's going to hold all your future data together.
Now, here's a neat little trick. When you click Save at this point, you're not just saving your progress, you're actually unlocking the bottom half of the form, which is what lets you start adding your team.
All right, let's scroll down to the bottom half of the form, Field Trip Personnel. This is where you'll build your team roster and tell the system exactly who was involved in the survey.
And adding people is super simple. You just select a role, like Trip Leader, then pick the person's name from the list and click Add to Trip. You'll do the same for the data lead. And here's a little time saver. For technical personnel and observers, you can actually select multiple people at once before you add them.
And this is absolutely critical. You need to add every single person who will interact with this trip's data. Why? Because the system uses this personnel list to automatically fill in the drop-down menus in other data forms later on. It just makes everything faster and way more accurate down the road.
Okay, once your team is all set, click Save one more time. And before you leave this screen, always click Validate. Think of it like a spell checker for your data. It runs a quick check to catch any potential errors, making sure your entry is perfect right from the start.
Great! Your trip is created and it's in the system. But, and this is a big but, before you can add any actual survey data, you have to make it the active trip. Let's walk through how to do that right now.
So, we're back on the home screen. This time, instead of adding a new trip, you're going to click the Select Existing Trip button. This is a mandatory first step before you add any related survey or site data. You can't skip it.
This brings you to a list of all the field trips currently in the system. You can use the search and sort functions to quickly find the one you need. Once you've located it, just click that green Select button on that specific row.
After you click Select, don't forget the last step. You have to scroll down and click the green Confirm button at the bottom of the screen. That locks in your choice and takes you back to the home screen where your selected trip is now active and ready for data.
Of course, sometimes you need to make changes or, fix a mistake. It happens. So let's quickly cover how to edit trip details or, if you really have to, remove a trip entirely. Back on that trip list screen, you'll see you have two main options for managing things. You can use the blue Edit button to make changes, or you can use the little gray X button to delete a record completely. Now, there is a huge difference here. When you edit, you can only change things like the end date and the people on the team, but those core details we talked about, start date, unit, sector, they're still locked. Deleting is a whole different ballgame. It's permanent, and the system will only let you do it if there is absolutely no other data, like site visits or surveys, linked to that trip. So use that delete button very carefully.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's just boil it all down to a simple checklist of the most important things to remember.
These are the golden rules. First, get those core details, date, unit, and sector right the first time. Second, make sure your personnel list is complete. Third, always select your trip before you start adding data. Fourth,
save and validate after every change. And fifth, remember, you can only delete a trip if it has zero data attached to it.
You know, following these steps isn't just about filling out a form. It's really about guaranteeing the quality and integrity of your data from the second it's created. And that leaves us with one final thought. Now that you know this process inside out, how can you build these checks into your team's own workflow to make sure everyone is contributing to better, cleaner data?